Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR Today, second, or as the kids say, level 7 of Jumanji, along with Matthew Thomas on the man they call Meathead. And we have got a lot to get into. Let's do business real quick, and we'll talk about a big night of wrestling action last night. Like and subscribe anywhere you're listening to us. Make sure you get the notifications turned on so you can find out when new content comes up. I know that more content is coming up with Shane Helms along with Damian Nelson and David Hero. Normally on Thursday mornings, again, we have Damian Nelson still pouting because last night's Fyter Fest and Great American Bash counted for 0 points in the PWR draft. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning. Coming off the heels of a very eventful night.
A lot. It was a lot of wrestling for a Wednesday night. And again, we've talked about this a few times, but I mean, kind of corny that after WWE NXT heard that AEW was doing Fyter Fest free on TNT for 2 weeks. You know what? We've got one hanging around here. Let's pick the one that'll piss off the roads the most. How about Great American Bash? Isn't that ironic?
You said corny. What about Cornette? I didn't see him on anything tonight.
No, Cornelius.
I got
Cornelius, the son of Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo.
Oh, that's it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense is what it does. But enough with the poo. Let's talk about AEW. Night one, and the winner in ringside of tire commentary jackets has to go to Le Champion wearing his Canadian-themed blazer in honor of Canada Day. Happy belated Canada Day to all our friends up north. Not sure what Canada Day is all about, but, you know, it's like the Independence Day, if you will. Matthew, your thoughts on our Le Champion and his amazing jacket?
I think the winner was actually us and our ears for having Jericho back on commentary again for about half of the show. I think Chris Jericho might be the most valuable wrestler on any brand at this point. I mean, what he's done in AEW as the first AEW champion, his in-ring work has been excellent, but he has really shined on commentary during this crazy time. And it's always a nice, welcome addition to see him come down to the commentary table. So
we'll see him here. Yeah.
Yes. Loved his attire. Loved the fact that he was back on commentary again tonight.
I had my daughter watch the opening match with me, Jurassic Express taking on MJF and Wardlow. And I said, honey, he thinks he's a dinosaur. It's going to be fun. It's not scary at all, I promise you. And look at the little guy back there. You're almost as tall as he is because, you know, Marco Stunt was up there. Matthew, I'm pretty sure that Shane and Dave Hero and you and myself and everybody else had this as an easy win for MJF and Wardlow. Guess what? We were all wrong. The winner of the match, Jurassic Express. Explain it out for us.
Yeah, no, that's the way that I think we all kind of thought it was going to go. What I really wanted to see in this was MJF shine, which I feel like he did. You know, came out immediately, got the mic, acknowledged the fact that they were in a ratings war, and that's why MJF was on your television screen, which it was nice to, you know, have a little bit of that thrown in there. I mean, I was still very happy with what we got with
a couple shots across the bow from AEW to WWE tonight.
No, absolutely. And I think we were a little bit surprised to actually see the finish and maybe some dissension that they're leading into. But, you know, hey, it was not my prediction, but the simple fact of the matter is I like them taking a chance and surprising me, and I don't like my wrestling necessarily that predictable. So good on them for making me wrong.
Okay. Joey Janella and Lance Archer brawling at ringside. Had to be separated. Jake just, you know, stood by laughing, you know, because he was entertained. Are you not entertained? Those two will hook up next week on Fyter Fest Night 2. Next, we had the AEW Women's World Championship match with Hikaru. I never say her name right, and I feel bad. Shida defending against the Superbad girl, Penelope Ford, ranked number 2 with Superbad Kip Sabian. I think this was, again, out of all their divisions that they have, the singles, the tags, the women's, I think their women's division is lacking a bit. Shida wins, retains, and is still the women's champion. Next week, we're going to see Nyla Rose actually in action again. It's possible that she may end up getting that belt back. So your thoughts on the women's match?
I like what I saw from Penelope Ford. You know, I have not I don't feel like we've gotten a ton of her wrestling very lengthy matches, and we got more of that tonight. I was very impressed with the in-ring work from both competitors, and a nice spot for Penelope Ford to shine. Did not walk away with the title, but nonetheless, I thought it was a nice showcase.
Jericho nailed it. He said Sheeta may have won, but that's the best match Penelope Ford has had in her career. So it was a win-win, amazing. So, it was, normally the winner is the one that shines, but yeah, she shined in the fact, even though she didn't win. The TNT Championship was on the line with Cody taking on the Inner Circle's Jake Hager, with Catalina Hager, the uncrowned Miss USA or uncrowned Miss Universe. Besides the press conference, is this the second time now, or first time really she's been featured as coming out with Jake?
Yeah, I think the press conference was the first, and this was the first time I recall seeing her ringside. So potentially, maybe that's something we're going to see a little bit more of.
She is not hard on the eyes at all. She definitely belongs on TV. Wow. Jake is a lucky man. But your winner of the match, even though Jake thought he won, your winner of the match and still champion, Cody. And Jake goes after the official, and he has to be removed from the ring.
Yeah, I was expecting Cody to retain. I thought it was a really solid match. Of course, we had the Dustin involvement at the end, and I don't know. I am kind of at a point where I would like to see Cody kind of go do his own thing. The Dustin TQ Marshall thing, to me, it's starting to just get a little bit stale. So I think there's a lot of possibilities for Dustin, a lot of possibilities for Cody, but I don't know. I'm starting to get a little bit. It's starting to get a little bit stale for me.
Something that's not stale and is actually freshly squeezed. Orange Cassidy brings the chair over to the commentator's broadcast table, just casually puts his feet up, doesn't say a word, plays with the tree behind him. Again, right now, my favorite. David asked when we reviewed Raw on Tuesday morning, who do you have to see? I have to see Orange Cassidy. That stuff is just absolutely hilarious to me every time he's on TV. I need to see Orange Cassidy.
And it's a perfect blend of comedy done with somebody who you are interested in seeing their in-ring work, interested in seeing what they're going to do with the character. It's very, they're hitting it spot on, because very rarely do you have somebody who has this level of comedy that you take as I don't think he's walking away with the title anytime soon.
Right, but he's aloof. That's the whole thing. The aloof character works.
And you are just so interested in what they're doing. And it's not your traditional, I'm going to turn into that for a laugh. It's like, yeah, I'm going to get a laugh, but I'm just so interested in how they feature this character and what they do.
Matthew, you've seen
absolute home run.
You've seen Private Parts, right? Howard Stern movie.
Uh-huh.
Remember the phrase they were talking about, the producers? They had a stat on why people listen and they hate him, and the people that hate him listen longer than the people that loved him.
Right.
When Orange Cassidy's on, I'm waiting to see what he's going to do. That right there. We don't have a lot of it in wrestling today, especially in the COVID area, or even the last 5, 10, whatever amount of years. I'm waiting to see what happens next. I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen next, which is he might get beat up, or there's a chance that he goes off. But I want to see it.
100%. By far and away, the shining star on AEW right now, I feel like.
You're a shining star, no matter who you are. Thank you. That's what everyone listens for, is me to sing.
Exactly.
Private Party with the team of Mark Queen and Isaiah Cassidy, accompanied by Matt Hardy, obviously, against Santana Ortiz of the Inner Circle. Santana Ortiz tried to wrap up the match with the sweep sweeper, but Private Party countered and won with their gin and juice finisher after a flurry of offense. It's not that these guys are just getting their first win. Again, they were in the finals of the tag team tournament to determine the first ever tag team champions of the AEW. They have flashes of brilliance here.
Yeah, I'm just happy you segued Howard Stern's Private Parts into Private Party. That was fantastic.
It's not my first day, sir.
Well noted.
Taz and the Machine, Brian Cage, coming out next. I absolutely love this promo. Couple things to pull away from this, and I listened and I even played it back because I wanted to hear it again. We don't run a sloppy shop. Fantastic. They announced that even though the match was supposed to be next week, that Moxley and Cage has been pushed to the 15th, and we know why it's been pushed. We know that Renee Young of WWE has come down with COVID. Jon Moxley is self-quarantining. Taz says, we've sent down people to test you not once, but twice, and you're both negative. You're hiding from us. You know what? We don't run a sloppy shop here. Come here, you're going to be negative too. We're clean. Come get your ass whipped. Come on and get it. Oh my God, I love this. Taz was brilliant, and all Brian Cage had to do was smirk and flex, and he did that. This was the high spot of the night for me.
It was great, and Taz is the guy. He is the right person to put with Cage. They're doing a fantastic job here. I think this was noteworthy for one main reason. Outside of Cody coming and addressing the crowd on the first night, they went without an audience. I don't know that you really necessarily count that for what I'm about to say. I think this might be the first time that COVID has been addressed in storyline form. I mean, it's addressed with the announcers.
100%. I mean, they never said the words. They never said these unprecedented times, now more than ever, blah, blah, blah. But they did address it.
They addressed the testing, and the exact opposite of that is you go over to WWE. COVID doesn't really exist in storyline format there. It doesn't really exist in universe. So this is as close as I personally recall seeing COVID entering an actual storyline, speaking of the testing. So this is unique for this storyline, at least at present time.
Absolutely loved it. Like I said, the high mark of the night for me, because again, that's the reason why JR was gone for a bit. That's why, you see guys like Jake come out in masks on occasion. You see the bracelets that they're wearing. You see the wristbands that they're wearing. That's the people that's been tested and cleared. So absolutely love it. Love it. Main event. Tag Team Championship. Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page defending the belts against the Best Friends. Now, the entrance of the night, and we'll get to the entrance that came from NXT's Great American Bash. The entrance of the night goes to Best Friends having Trent's mom drop him off. Oh my God.
This was fantastic. This was great.
Go ahead, Matthew. Tell us what you thought about the entrance of the match. So, again, I'm still loving the entrance.
Oh, absolutely. And, it was
here,
nice
honey, let me give you a kiss. Have
fun.
Fun.
And little attention to detail. It was nice to see the two best friends riding in the back of the van, not one up shotgun with the mom. They were in the back of the van so they could talk to each other and hang out. And, nice little kiss exchange there before they got ready to go to the ring. They were told to have fun. This was just fantastic.
Now, the winner of this match, which is still the defending tag team champions, Omega and Page, are going to face Private Party next week because the Private Party won in their match. So more tag team action next week. Here's what we got at the end. FTR shows up during the match, 2 lawn chairs and a cooler. Okay? And in the match, they come down with 4 beers, 1 for each of FTR, 1 for Omega, 1 for Page. We know that Omega drinks milk. Page, obviously took his beer right away. Omega feigned drinking it, and then dumped it out. That is a huge slap in the face. Here comes the Elite. Come on, dude. He doesn't drink. Just back off, because the Elite and FTR are going to be part of an 8-man tag next week. Your thoughts on how the show wrapped?
I thought it was very interesting. It was a little bit more of kind of the holding pattern. They've done no real dissension prior to this, as we talked about, speculated last night. I thought you might have a little bit of dissension in the form of an errant fist or somebody costing potentially Page or Omega costing the team the match.
We're going to get to Dexter Loomis, so please don't bring up fisting now. So
save it, huh? Save it. Okay. But yeah, no, I think it was a little bit more of a holding pattern. The Page Paige not liking the drink being poured out kind of came into play. That was their dissension for the night, but it was fun. It was fun. It got us another week with those two guys with the titles, and we'll see where it plays out from here.
Let's talk NXT Great American Bash, the opening match. Tegan Nox defeating Dakota Kai, Mia Yim, and Candice LeRae in a fatal 4-way elimination match to become the number 1 contender for the NXT Women's title. Bit of a shock. Tegan Nox, this is her first go at it. Dakota Kai, Mia Yim, Candice LeRae have all really had more prominence in the women's division, but now your number 1 contender is Tegan Nox. Thoughts?
Interesting to compare this to the opening match of AEW tonight, whereas this seemed like a more important match. One thing I noticed, this one went longer, so it took us through 2 commercial breaks. I believe the AEW match...
Ironically, with limited interruptions, brought to you by Mountain Dew.
Exactly. I believe the AEW match was, pretty much a straight shot. I don't think it took us to a break. This was a more important match, but I felt like the AEW match, because it was, it was straight through. It was a better start to the show. Fine with the finish. I thought it was a great match. Everybody, put on a great performance. But I feel like, to me, it was a little bit more. It was not quite as hot of a start to the show as AEW had.
10-4. All right. TT, as my daughter called him, Timothy Thatcher defeats Oni Lorcan. It was a brutal match. I mean, that's really all I've got to say about it. Yeah. It was pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, probably the best technical wrestling match of the night on both shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Rhea Ripley defeats Aaliyah and Robert Stone in a handicap match. I have to have that robe. For those that don't know, the man they call Meathead's initials are RS. I have to have that robe. Get the Stone brand off of there and Stone, but that RS all over that robe, oh my God. Somebody buy that for me.
Who wore it better, him or MJF with the muumuu he came out with tonight?
MJF's muumuu was hilarious. You'll never catch me wearing that RS boxing robe. Holy smokes, that was amazing. Put that on WWE Shop.
Absolutely. I was disappointed we did not get the Rhea Ripley Robert Stone brand storyline, though. That seemed like it would write itself. So a little bit surprised we did not get that.
Fair enough. We alluded to it earlier, and your pre-show text to me when we were about to come on this morning was Morrow did say that Dexter's ready to get a strap on. Dexter Loomis defeats Roderick Strong in NXT's first ever strap match. Again, the puns of fisting and straps obviously are lent. I mean, the commentary lends to that. Dexter Loomis going over big, even with help and interference from Bobby Fish.
Absolutely. Very interesting here, though. This was not your traditional strap match where you have to touch 4 corners. Yeah. Which there was part of me at first when I saw them going for, pinfalls. It's like, that's not what you do. But, man, I think I enjoy this style of a strap match better than a traditional one, because traditional strap matches, the story is you've got to incapacitate the opponent, touch 4 corners of the ring. But this just seemed to, lend itself to a better match. I thought it was a really solid wrestling match, and glad to see Loomis go over. I think we talked about it yesterday morning. He plays creepy to a T, and really glad to see him get to shine last night.
If there's ever a Stone Cold Steve Austin biop, movie, it's Dexter Loomis, dude. All you got to do is fix his facial hair, and he looks like Austin, except for the tattoos, of course. But dude, he looks like Steve Austin. Ever take a look at him?
Interesting. No, I the mustache, because it's a very signature look. I never really get past, his look, but I'll take a look next time I
take a look at that. All right. Yep. So the main event was NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai defeating Sasha Banks in a non-title match. Second best entrance goes to Sasha and Bayley. That was not that it's Io Shirai's fault, because Io Shirai technically works for the same company that Sasha does, even though it's NXT and it's a smaller, but she came in with a WWE pay-per-view approach. Yep. That was a big match entrance, big match approach. That was main event, main roster type entrance right there.
No, absolutely. And she was definitely on a big stage tonight against a big opponent. And I was fine with the finish here. I mean, you're building to You're building to Asuka, Sasha. You had to protect both people tonight. So great wrestling match. I think that we pretty much established yesterday morning on the show going into this that you probably were not going to get a decisive finish. And what it was fine overall. Good contribution, good effort by both participants.
I don't like it, Matthew, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask who won, AEW or NXT tonight or last night.
This was tough. This was tough last week. I felt like NXT had a little bit of the edge. I go AEW by a hair, and it's still largely because of the atmosphere. When I'm
they're in an arena, and I figured this out watching it. Going back and forth. You still feel like you're in a studio, even though they made it look bigger with the cars and changed the setup. Through the arena, they've got a huge Titantron, Jumbotron, whatever they're calling it. You've got arena seating, even though there's not enough people in there. The difference is the way it looks and the lights and the feel. And with NXT, it still looks like a studio.
Yeah, it's the aesthetic in NXT. Even when there was an audience in there, it always felt dark to me. NXT compared to the other WWE programming has always felt dark. And I mean, they spruced it up tonight, and I do applaud NXT. I feel like they do a much better job than Raw and SmackDown does with the audience. You don't have those close-ups of the audience, which I just feel like is unneeded at this point. Just have them there, have it as background noise, catch them in the shots, but there's no need to ever focus on your talent, going crazy, trying to make a big deal out of what's happening. It seems very, very manufactured when they do that on Raw and SmackDown. Absolutely. NXT does a better job with it. There's more of the beating of the plexiglass on NXT. So, yeah, they do a better job, I feel like, than Raw and SmackDown does. I think AEW got it tonight. They're running with the show being live, with the show being, real time like that. That always helps. But, man, I feel like AEW right now is doing a much better job overall than WWE is in general. I'm talking Raw, SmackDown. I feel like that is the actual AEW. I feel like is on close to equal footing right now with main roster WWE.
I'll tell you what, it was great to have double live shows. I was really excited. And I think last night we got good wrestling action. We went a little long today because, again, it was a packed night. We're going to do this again next week as well, Thursday morning. Hopefully, it'll be Damian Nelson finally, putting his differences aside and actually coming and doing his job. So, hey, Matthew Thomas, we will talk to you again tomorrow morning. We're going to be talking about a preview of SmackDown, and you never know what else. When it's Matthew Thomas, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and, we might just do freestyle. We might just watch WWE cartoons together, and you never know what we're going to have. So make sure you're liking and subscribing to find out when we got new content coming up. So for Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.